This is going to be a sales order training video on entering quotes. And the next video we'll do after this is turning the quotes into an order. So as you can see up there here on the top, these are my menu items. I'm going to click over on sales, and then here are my processing icons, and over on the left is enter orders and quotes. I'm going to click on this and it brings up the order and quoting screen. At the type prompt, I can just type in Q for quote. I can also use the down arrow key that is located to the right of the field, or I can just use my down arrow keys on the keyboard as well. So I'm going to choose quote. I'm going to hit tab. I'm going to tab through the fields. I can also hit enter. The inside sales rep is brought in automatically. This is brought in from the miscellaneous screen master files called users, and under each user you can have default sales rep set up. Mine is set up as KK. Sales reps are also set up under the accounts receivable master files under sales reps. It brings in my warehouse automatically as the default warehouse. At my customer ID prompt, I simply type in the first few letters of any name that I'm searching for. So if I'm looking for all the customers that start with the letter A, I can hit A and hit enter. That will pull up all of my customers with A. If I wanted to narrow the search a little bit quicker than that, because I may have a lot of customers that begin with the letter A, I can say AB, hit enter, and it will only pull up those customers that have a name that begins with AB. I can then just click on it or click enter. It brings in and now prompts me for a ship via. None of this is required for a quote. I can put it in if I wanted to say I will be shipping it our truck, and if you have a ship date or a delivery date, but you don't need to do that. And we will talk about those once we turn the quote into a sales order. On the middle of the screen here we have our billing address, and on the right we have our shipping information. If I click over on the shipping information and hit your binoculars up here, this is the binocular lookup. I can also use Control F or F2. If I click on that, it would show me any of my alternate ship to addresses, and then I can choose those. Or alternatively, I can also type in another name and add that to my alternate ship to addresses. For example, let's say this Ray White is the contact that was calling in. He's my purchasing contact. That's why he's pulled in on this under next to the buyer name. And let's say he says, well, we have a new company that we want you to ship to, and it's called BBB Welding. I can type in BBB Welding and then put in the address for that. Maybe it's 450 West Bell, and I can even type in the zip code and hit enter, and it will pull in the city from our zip code database. You notice right now no tax codes were pulled in. For this shipping address, there's no tax codes. Also for the customer, you can set it up where if there's a resale number on the customer addresses screen, it will automatically not pull in the order as taxable. And if there's no resale number and a tax code, it will pull it in as taxable. I can easily on the fly right here though put in a tax code, and I can say that it's taxable by clicking on that button. So now I've put in the header of the quote screen. Once I'm done with the header, I can click on the quote detail. The quote detail screen prompts me for a line number. I can hit enter at the line number. The warehouse is main. That's my default. That's where I'm pulling the material from. At the item ID prompt, let's do just like we did at the customer ID, where we start to type in what we're looking for. In this case, if I'm going to sell the customer some plate, I can say PL. It will pull up all of my plate, or any item that starts with PL. Let's say we want to quote him some 1/4 inch plate. That brings in the unit weight of 10.209 pounds per square foot. I'm getting from stock. And now the quantity ordered. Let's say he wants 3 pieces of 48 by 96. You notice this is pulled in as a standard size. You can set up your standard sizes under Inventory, Master Files, and Items. And on the item maintenance screen, you can set up standard sizes. In this case, I have non-standard, 48 by 96, 48 by 120, and 60 by 240. I can choose any of those, hit enter. It'll bring in my weight for me. You notice over here on the side, it brings in my mill cost. That's because I've set the system up to do pricing over my mill cost or replacement cost. It still shows my average cost in the middle of the screen, but right now it says my mill cost is $57 per hundredweight, 67, excuse me, and my margin is 25%. These 3 fields right here, they work in conjunction with one another. For example, if I said I wanted a 30% margin, you notice it tells me that the base price has to be 95 cents a pound. If I said if I wanted to sell it at $1 a pound, you notice it then says based on that mill cost, that's 33% margin. Don't ever worry about if you put something in here that's a different number that you're going to affect your inventory in any way. It does not do that. It just is a way to help you make a good pricing decision. So I'm not going to put anything at the miscellaneous surcharge. I'm going to come down here, and you notice it defaults to $1 per pound. I can change it to per hundredweight. I can, by using my shift and tab buttons, I can go back or click on it with my mouse. I can type in per pound or any of the valid factors. Valid factors are pound, hundredweight, net ton, standard ton, ton, kilogram, gross ton, long ton, metric ton, piece, and so on. We have even inch and square foot, square inch. Any of those are valid factors, and it will calculate it for you. The extended price, there's my cost. So, and then it even brings in my sales tax. When I'm done, I click on the line finish button. It then puts the line up in the grid up here. Now I'm ready to put in my next line. I can click on these buttons up here and click new, and it will do a new line. This is insert a line. This is edit a line. This right here is delete, and this is cancel, and this is the lookup. So there's another way I can do it. I'm going to just hit my backspace key here and hit enter. You notice when I do that, it allows me to assign a line as well. If I'm selling some of the same product, I can just hit enter again and come down, and let's say in this case he wants 2 pieces of a cut size. Now I don't have to use my down arrow key. For speed purposes, I'll show you a little shortcut. You can just type NS for non-standard and then type in the width and length of what the customer is ordering or having you quote. So let's say it's a 15 by 36. At that point, I come over to my mill cost and I can do the same thing. But let's say this time we want to charge him a cut charge of $10. I can type in $10. It will then take that 89 cents a pound, add the $10, and say in order to get that $10, take that into account, you're going to want to charge him $102 per pound. Now, of course, you can then change this to 103 or whatever you want to charge him. You notice this lock price button. That is to do with once you do your line finished, that locks the price, so in case you want to edit it later and you change it to 3 pieces or you change the width and length, it'll still bring the unit price in at the price that you quoted the customer and won't recalculate everything for you. So you notice down at the bottom of the screen, it shows you your line profits, your line margin, your order profit. You can also do an order summary, which will tell you not only the line, but the order summary in terms of cost and profit and margin. You can also do a quantity summary right here, which just tells you how many pieces you have on order and how many you have reserved or staged to that order. If you notice on the right hand side, you also have an attach image button. This allows you to attach any image or document if you want to store that with the line on the sales order. A few other things to note down at the bottom. You have line notes. Line notes can be put in external notes, internal notes, or internal and external. Let's say we want to put in an internal and external note and that just says, "Have a nice day." That will appear right underneath the line on the quote, as you'll see in a minute. Or you can choose any of these and select or deselect them, and any of the ones that are selected, that's where the note will print. You also have inquiries. This inquiries button is used a lot. You can get inventory inquiry, where if you want to just launch it and then find out what you have in inventory, it will list all, if you're tagged inventory, it'll list all the tag, the piece counts, the quantity, how much is available, and what your cost of each one of your tags is. It will also list where it came from, the vendor, and as you scroll to the right, you can get the vendor ID and the vendor name. You can also make this screen bigger by simply grabbing it and making it a little bigger. So that's the inventory inquiry screen. The detailed inventory inquiry screen gives you something similar, but it also does it by warehouse as well as pieces on hand, pieces on sales orders, and you can also do pieces on the purchase order, pieces on a processing purchase order. It just gives you a little bit the same information, a little bit different method. You can do open sales orders. That will give you any open sales orders for this item. If I click on quotes, that will give you any open quotes for this item. If I click on open purchase orders, that will give me any open purchase orders for the item that is highlighted on the sales order. If I do shipments history for the current customer, this will be every time this customer bought this item. If I do for shipments history for all customers, that will do the same thing except show all customers. You notice right here, this one's for ABC. If I highlight this, that's for AAA. So just so you can see who else you quoted it for too. Customer item pricing history will include quotes as well. Anything that you've priced, any sales orders you've done are quotes for the current customer. And then again, this is for all customers, the customer item pricing history. The purchase history will give you the breakdown of what you've bought in the past for this item. And those are just some of the things on the inventory inquiry, on the inquiry selection screen that are kind of nice. Down here at the bottom, sometimes the user will say, the customer will say, well, you gave me a better price than that last time. You can click on last sale. You can see that, yes, you gave them 83 cents a pound, but that was for a 48 by 96, and so you can tell them that it's because of the cutting. So that will give you a good breakdown. If you needed more of the breakdown, that's when you'd go into the inquiries button and then go down to the customer pricing history for the current customer, and then you can give him each time you've quoted him or he's ordered that item. When you're all done, you simply hit the quote finished button. When we hit the quote finish button, you can optionally have the system pop up and ask you if you want to do a fuel or an energy surcharge. In this case, mine's $25 per lot. It can also be done as a percentage of the order, or per pound, or per hundredweight. So in this case, let's say I do want to do the $25. It will tell you that the subtotal is $1,059.31 plus 25 plus the tax, and then there's your total. So when I click on yes, I now have the option of what forms I want to print. Let's print a quote form, and let's preview it for you so you can see what it looks like. Here's quote number 13048, and that's how you put in a quote. Our next training session will be turning this quote into an order.